Commissioner, when they did my cell phone download, there was communication which I do not want to, but it's part of evidence in my criminal court in the Johannesburg matter. But there is those engagements and where also General CB has been involved there.
You said something about the PKTT. Can you say that again?
The dismantle, yeah, of the T.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
So that's why I say, what is the crime in disbanding the PKTT? What's your understanding arising from that case?
Not the crime, not the crime commission. I'm saying part of my defense. I'm going to establish in court how did I end up getting arrested. The only way for me to explain this to you now, I have to go deep, and which I do not want to do that, and now disclose my defense strategy.
No.
I do not want to do that.
I'm not inviting you to. I was talking about an application you initiated or instituted in December.
Yes.
For the return of your guns and jewelry, which had been seized during one of the raids.
Yes.
And I asked the question whether you had not engaged with General Sibia around that application for the return of your property. So your response then speaks to the criminal case of murder and attempted murder and the disbandment of PKTT. And I'm not sure I understand.
Because your question, what you're asking me now,
yes,
is also part of evidence. What you just asked me now is part of evidence, which is in my cell phone downloads.
Isn't maybe the, isn't that perhaps, Mr. Matlala, the best way to proceed is the direct question that is asked is you had such an application before court where you went to court to seek a return of your firearms. That's what Ms. Silo has asked at this point. So it seems to me that your answer would be yes, I did, or no, I did not. And then we pass that, and let's hear what is the next question before you get to a point where you say, but that case has to do with the matter that I'm presently facing and the defense. So maybe take it step by step. At this point, all she asks is you had such an application where you went to court, you wanted a return of your guns and jewelry. And answering that question at this point does not require you to get into the detail of that application, and I don't know if she intends to ask you that further question, but at least as a starting point, your answer doesn't require you to speak about what was in that application.
Commissioner, I already conceded that yes, I've made that High Court application, but her next question was, did I ever discuss that with General Sibia? That was her question.
And your answer could be yes or no, and if she says, what did you discuss? It seems to me that at that point, you may well attempt to raise your defense, your privilege.
Commissioner, I don't think this is fair because now I'm disclosing part of my defense strategy now. I don't think that is a fair move. I don't think so.
You are not, at least as I understand, you are not saying, I don't want to answer that question because it will incriminate me. You are saying, I don't want to answer the question because I don't want to disclose my defense strategy.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's the second one.
Yes, that's correct.
And Ms. Silo will decide whether that's good enough for purposes of further discussion.
Well, I would think that, and perhaps it's a tad unfair to Mr. Matlala, because the answer really lies in Section 3, Sub 4 of the Act, which means he must invoke some legal privilege And in regulation, I think 610, it tells you that the only basis to refuse to answer a question is if you establish a privilege contemplated in section 3.4, which is a privilege as recognized in law, and fear to disclose your defense as not one such privilege. So if that is the only basis, then you do not bring yourself within the ambit of the protection, because that does not constitute privilege, and you will be compelled to answer. You are raising a wrong basis to refuse to answer. It's not an acceptable basis, as determined by the law, not by us around here.
Maybe, Commissioner, it's because you are speaking to, I'm just a mere layman. I do not understand the law, and then I do not know which case law I should invoke in these things. I think maybe my legal counsel will help me with that. I do not know how to invoke which section for that.
I think that's fair. That's fair. So maybe to address myself to the commissioners and ask the commissioners to inquire from Advocate Missy whether she would like to engage with that point on your behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.